Ah yes, it's the most wonderful time of the year, a time where we spend it with friends and family, doing all the usual Christmas stuff, like opening gifts, having dinner, you know, it's Christmas. Me personally, I'm going to spend Christmas time alone because I got a game to brag about. Now you may be wondering what game I got for Christmas this year. Well, I heard that OutRun was making its way to the home computers, especially my 48K ZX Spectrum, so I decided to pre-order ahead of time. Only for it to be lost during shipment.
Hi, this is Zed from ZX Envious. This is a voicemail regarding an order placed with our service. Unfortunately, we lost your order during shipment and can't deliver it to you on the day before Christmas Eve. Have a nice day.
I should have looked at the refund policy before I ordered the game. The last thing I want in life is to be denied a refund on something that I spend my hard-earned money on. Hint, hint. So what if I don't have the game in my possession? I don't want it. In fact, I don't even need my money back. I can play OutRun in their arcades anytime I damn want to. I got my car keys, I got my pockets full of change. Watch me go. OutRun, or as it should have been called, OutRun, is an arcade driving game created by Yu Suzuki and released by Sega in 1986. The game is well known for its awesome graphics, impressive sprite scaling, a road with branching pathways that you can drive in, an iconic soundtrack with 3 different songs that you could choose from, an annoying blonde bitch who complains every time you crash into something on accident, the Ferrari horse emblem that flips horizontally when you turn left that it becomes so obnoxious that you won't be able to unsee it after playing it. Fuck, I forgot it's Christmas Eve. Deluxe arcade cabinet, anyone? And of course, how could I forget? The main thing that OutRun is well known for is that famous deluxe arcade cabinet. This cabinet includes motion hydraulics that would simulate the Testaross's motion when you steered left or right. This is the definitive way of playing OutRun in the arcades. OutRun's features may not be such a big deal nowadays, but back then they were pretty innovative for the time. So innovative in fact that some modern games, mostly racers, take some of the features from OutRun for granted. OutRun became a worldwide hit for Sega that it became a popular candidate to be ported on home consoles, handhelds, even home computers, which is where I want to put the main focus on. About a year after the release of OutRun, publisher US Gold secured the rights to publish the game in the UK and other European countries, with a few developers making ports for the 8-bit and 16-bit home computers respectively. The date was set. On December 10th of 1988, OutRun would make its way to the home micros. European gamers who played the arcade game were excited. They were finally bringing the arcade experience in the comfort of their homes. How is it going to look like? How will it play on their home micros? Will it be as good as its arcade counterpart? The answers would come as the release date approached. It's December 10th, and the questions brought up would finally be answered as the European ports of OutRun would finally make it to store shelves, just in time for mom and dad to stock little Timmy's stocking for Christmas. This little Timmy didn't get his. But it's not like I can't play OutRun on my 48K ZX Spectrum. Hell, it's not like I can't play it on the other home computers, far from it. I may have not gotten the game in the mail, but I'll find another way to play the game just to see what I missed out on. So for this occasion, I'm going to emulate this game on the home micros, just to see what I missed out on, while eventually ending up on Santa's naughty list. Fun. Now before we begin, I want to list the home computer platforms that OutRun was released on. Starting with the 8-bit ports is the Amstrad CPC, followed by the ZX Spectrum, MSX, and Commodore 64. Finishing off with the arcade conversions is the 16-bit ports, with the Atari ST and the Commodore Amiga receiving the game later that year. So without further ado, let's start off with the Amstrad CPC version. Once you finish loading the game via the tape loader, the game launches with a nice OutRun title screen, with a Ferrari Testarossa in the starting line, some spectators on the side of the road, and all of this accompanied with a decent rendition of Splash Wave. We then move to the menu screen, and all I can say is wow, that is one ugly menu. I mean, surely the text could have not been more wider, uglier, and harder to read, right? Why not make the outline color black and the text color white instead of using the gray, orange, and white for the text? It would have also been easier to read the text if the font was something like the letters on the top right, but nope. At this point, they should have used the CPC's default font if they were going to be this lazy to make a decent menu screen. Moving on. If you are thinking that this is a prototype build, then you are sadly mistaken. This is how the game was released. There are so many issues with this port that I don't even know where to begin. The road is a pixelated mess, which kinda makes it hard to judge what you're seeing ahead of times. It also doesn't help that when you're close to a branching pathway, the road disconnects itself, then adds 2 more lanes on each side. The arrow signs are pointing at the wrong direction, even the checkpoint sign is flipped. And if it isn't already obvious to you, the road is the same color as the ground. Could they have not been bothered to color the road gray, let alone adding some stripes to give it that sense of speed? Oh wait, they couldn't. The game barely has any sense of speed. Hell, even the timer is so slow that it counts down for more than a second. But that doesn't make the game any easier. The timer is too damn strict that you won't be able to finish throughout the entire game. And I've only gotten as far as stage 4. If only the damn cars weren't blocking the road, then I would have had no issues making it a stage 5 and finish the game right then and there. But no! The game just throws in a lot of stupid cars that will get in your way no matter which traffic difficulty setting you choose. They'll just clog up the road, making it a complete hassle to get past them. Not to mention they'll drive off-road then teleport right in front of you, giving you no time to react, so you'll end up crashing them from behind. Oh, and when the time runs out, instead of freezing the screen with text that says game over like in the arcade version, the game automatically transitions to the high score table, and look at that beautiful background of NOTHING! Where the hell is the background with the palm trees and the sunset? Where's the music that accompanies the high score table? Come to think of it, where even is the music? Splashwave was playing in the background during the title screen, but there isn't any music during the gameplay or even an option to choose a song before the game starts, let alone any sound effects. Correction, there are sound effects in this game. A very wimpy tire screech, and a buzzing sound effect that plays whenever you bump into a car or a roadside object. And that is it. If you chose not to add any music during the gameplay, then couldn't you have at least added some environmental sound effects like oncoming cars or I don't know, maybe a fucking engine sound? How do you fail to make a racing game audible by not adding an engine sound? Not only does it fool the player into thinking that their TV set or computer monitor is muted, but they also think that their game is broken right off the bat. Which it is!
Maybe I'm just overreacting. I mean, surely the flaws in this game aren't due to the hardware limitations of the Amstrad CPC. It's not like there were 2 games after OutRun that made the Amstrad CPC look like a capable games machine. Right?
Enter WEC Le Mans and Chase HQ, 2 racing games that first hit the arcade and were later ported to the Amstrad CPC by Ocean's in-house development team. Knowing the limitations in porting the arcade games to the CPC, programmer John O'Brien, along with various graphic designers, made cut-down versions of the arcade game while making the ports feel like its arcade counterpart. WEC Le Mans uses the CPC's Mode 1 graphics. This allows programs to run at a medium resolution, but could only allow up to 4 colors simultaneously. This mode was commonly used for lazy ZX Spectrum conversions to the CPC. Chase HQ, on the other hand, uses Mode 0 graphics, which is the mode most commonly used for original video games for the hardware. However, the resolution is narrow and stretched to 4x3 on computer monitors, which make the sprites look very wide and chunky, but it did allow you to make use of 16 colors. Case in point, these games make perfect use of the hardware. They run at a solid frame rate, and most importantly, they are actually fun to play. When you put these 2 games with OutRun side by side, it's insane to think that OutRun is released on the same platform as the aforementioned games. It's embarrassing.
Maybe this version wasn't so hot during development, but hopefully my ZX Spectrum can do OutRun justice, whereas the Amstrad CPC version couldn't. So out of anticipation on what I missed out, let's take a look at OutRun on my good old red and blue ZX Spectrum.
This is the same game as the CPC version. Same title screen, menu screen, in-game music and sound effects. It's like nothing has changed here. Let's be fair here. There are some noticeable differences in this version that does one-up the Amstrad version by just a margin. For a start, the graphics, while in monochrome and limited in color, is running in high res with more details on the sprites, as well as addition of scenery on the sides of the road. There is also music and sound effects during the gameplay. And that is it. Almost all the flaws in the Amstrad version are still present in the Spectrum version. They couldn't even be bothered to add a music selection screen, or a gear shift icon, which the Amstrad CPC version lacked. You have to assume you already shifted towards the second gear while you're driving. And as for the music, Magical Sound Shower and Splashwave are the only 2 songs present in this version of the game, and they only play one at a time when you advance to another stage. Again, let's compare this game to the ZX Spectrum version of Chase HQ. While the game feels simplified and cut down from its arcade counterpart, just like the CPC version, still feels like the arcade game. Even if I compare this game to a budget title like Miami Cobra GT, which was released in 1990, it just goes to show that the ZX Spectrum could handle a game like OutRun just fine if you put in the time and effort to get it to work. Unfortunately for OutRun in this case, it was a missed opportunity. But if you really want to dig deep into the OutRun rabbit hole, then look no further than the MSX version, which was ported by Bedrock Software. They are well known for titles such as OutRun on the MSX and even
Don't even get me started on this!
So you know this is going to be good. Now at first glance, you might already assume it's just another ZX Spectrum conversion ported to the MSX, only running slower, but in this case, you would be wrong. You see, this port only uses the sprite assets from the Speccy version, and as a result, there are noticeable differences in this version. For a start, you're now racing in a slightly different track layout, the Ferrari is completely colored, and finally there's a gear shift indicator. Unfortunately, these minor changes are nothing compared to what you're about to see. When you're driving on the hills, the overall depth of the road and objects scale back and forth in front of you, making the whole perspective feel very trippy. Also, when you're driving on the corners, the road jerks to the direction you're turning until you're on a straight road. Even worse is that the Ferrari will become uncontrollable all of a sudden when driving at a maximum speed, so if you're wanting to dodge incoming cars by steering away from them, you can't, at least not being able to do so in time. It doesn't even help that you can't avoid incoming traffic because they clog up the entire road. Why not lower the difficulty setting to easy mode and stop complaining like a little bitch, you may ask? Because the game doesn't have a fucking menu screen! When you start the system and load the game, all you get is the bare minimum. The title screen with splash wave in the background, and that's it. It just cuts to the main game. If the oncoming traffic or the lack of a menu selection screen doesn't irritate you enough, then you'll love this. The collision detection in this port is just god-awful. Sometimes you'll end up rear-ending a car without being anywhere near them. Oh, and look at that Ferrari spin. You can even see the color attribute shrink then stay in place while the spinning animation is playing. What is the fucking point of coloring the Ferrari if you're not going to fully color the damn thing? Okay, well, I gotta calm down. Gotta calm down before I start to lose it. How about if I keep playing this game and... I'm sorry?! Are you fucking kidding me? A car spawned right in front of me?! No, why is the music restarting after I crashed? Why is the crashing sound effect the only sound effect in the game? Why is Magical Sound Shower the only song playing in the game? Why is the timer too damn strict that you can't beat it in one single run? Why do the cornering signs have the names of the publisher and developers' names up close while Sega's name is at a distance? Oh, no, I can't do this anymore. All these crappy OutRun ports are starting to make me feel sick.